a movie that had been on my list for, well, years now. It's a movie that when I heard about the idea, Nicolas Cage in an H.P. Lovecraft story, I thought, yeah, I want to see that. Let's talk about Color Out of Space. Based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, Color Out of Space tells the story of a secluded farm that is struck by a strange meteorite which has apocalyptic consequences for the family living there and possibly the world. The movie stars Nicolas Cage, Jolie Richardson, Madeleine Arthur, Elliot Knight, and Tommy Chong. Now here's the thing. I'm just a fan of Nicolas Cage. I am. He's run the gamut, right? He's from completely like out there performances to some really amazing performances, like Academy Award level performances, right? I mean, just the guy's done it all. And yeah, in some cases you might question his choices, but I've always found him to be completely watchable in just about anything he's in. So I actually bought a 2-pack on digitally on iTunes, and it was a Nicolas Cage 2-pack, and it included Mandy and Color Out of Space. Mandy, I watched somewhat recently, and wow, that was not for me. Like, not for me at all. So I had a lot of hopes for Color Out of Space because it was more sci-fi, right? At least it had sort of these sci-fi elements to it. Now I had no idea what the movie really was about, other than it's Nicolas Cage in a Lovecraft story. That's all I knew. So I was really kind of looking forward to see what kind of Nicolas Cage were we going to get. We get a wide range of what Nicolas Cage can do. In a lot of ways, I feel like once things start to happen, we get a more unhinged Cage performance than we typically get in his more mainstream movies. You know what I'm saying? Which is which is interesting. It's fun actually. It's actually pretty fun. I think the acting across the board was was really pretty well done. I think they did exactly what the script required. And we'll get to why that might be an issue. I actually think that the most effective acting across the board is probably the hydrologist played by Elliot Knight. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Something may be getting into the water, so it's lucky that a hydrologist is already there. Hey, I mean, I guess with a movie like this, you just kind of have to go with it. I think the cinematography is just off the charts amazing. Like there are some it's just beautiful imagery across the board. And even when things start to get crazy, I still think that the cinematography is just it's just really well done. Beautiful imagery. I love the the choice of shots and where the camera is placed. I really enjoyed that. So kudos to Richard Stanley and his team. I think the music is really good here too. I think it provides a very moody sort of bed for all of the other things to kind of act upon almost. It's I just liked it. And I'm pretty sure that the Stranger Things had already premiered by the time that this movie came out. So I'm not sure if that was an influence on the score, but all I can say is that it worked and it worked really well. But the effects, oh my God, the effects are probably, it may be the number one reason why you should seek out this movie. There's a believability, which I know might sound weird, but especially if you've seen the movie, you might be like, what are you talking about? But there's a groundedness to the way that the effects look. And I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but I really enjoyed the effects work here. There's a I'm a sucker for practical effects. Okay, I love when practical effects are done well. It's just awesome, and I think the practical effects are amazing here. Sometimes they use a puppet in some situations, and sometimes it's a miniature puppet, which I had no idea, which is amazing, great. I love that. Seeing the special features kind of helped with that, but yeah, I thought that the effects work was really good, and sometimes it's a mixture of practical effects and digital effects, to kind of work with the design to make it a little more effective. some of the imagery was really, really cool in that kind of twisted, gross body horror kind of way. I really kind of liked it. I like that stuff. Now, when it comes to story, though, this is actually a bit hard for me to review the story because I've never read a H.P. Lovecraft story. I mean, is the point of the story to make you feel the horror and the weirdness? And that's it? Because if it is, then I think they did a really, really good job. But at least from my point of view, somebody who's just watching a movie here, I think the characterization is pretty light. And in fact, I can't think of one character in the whole movie that actually has an arc. You know, that's one of the things that you want, right? You want your character to go through things and then have to make choices based on what's happened to them. That doesn't happen here. It's I don't know. It's that's what endears me to characters, and none of the characters here do that. Unfortunately, the script just didn't allow for these things to happen. So the actors can only do so much with what is on the page, right? And it almost felt like, you know how when you read a newspaper, right? It basically just lists the facts, you know, such and such, here's their age, and this happened. It's just a list of facts that went down, and that's kind of how this movie feels. So for me, it just as a whole, it just didn't quite work for me because of that. So do I recommend this movie? It's hard for me to recommend this movie to anybody. I just, unless you're into practical effects, maybe you want to go into the industry and you want to see how practical and digital can work together. I think this would be a really cool movie to watch for sure. Are you into cinematography and you want to see how some of these shots were done and stuff like that, and how they were? I mean, maybe not how they were achieved, but you can kind of get an idea of what looks really, really pleasant. I mean, it's a pleasant movie to look at, which is strange for the subject matter, but I really like that. So maybe you're into that. But here's the thing. It's got a very, very high tomato meter rating, 86%, you know, from the critics, 82% from the audience. So obviously this movie has its fans. So I want to hear from you. Are you a fan of Color Out of Space? What do you think about it? You know, let's talk about it down in the comment section below. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I should read the book. I don't know. But that's the thing. That's where I stand on it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.